So I would like to welcome you to our August 2014 District Flex Day. Welcome back. So we have a full agenda today. We have a keynote speaker who is going to be focused on leadership and change. And we also have some wonderful presentations this morning from some of our district employees that are going to be sharing some important information with us regarding accreditation and technology. And of course, we have our State of the District address from our Chancellor. Can we please give an applause to those who have been awarded sabbaticals? We finally, after about 4 or 5 years of not having sabbaticals, these key individuals have stepped up and submitted excellent assignments of things that they're going to do to help improve teaching and learning in this district. So we're very proud of them, and we look forward to seeing the results and the outcomes of their work. And then, without further ado, I'd like to start introducing our shared governance and leadership, and I will start with Dr. Carolyn Van Putten.
Thank you, and good morning. Good morning. It's always good to see you here on these days, and today, like many days lately, there are a lot of you here, which is a great thing. So as my colleague Tamika has mentioned, I'm Carolyn Van Putten, and for the past 5 years, I've had the honor and the privilege of being the Peralta District Academic Senate President. And in that capacity, I've been an advocate for and representative of all faculty in shared governance meetings and their associated responsibilities. And on days like today, I usually have a lot more to say than I'm going to say today in welcoming you back. Today I'm going to be somewhat brief and to the point because I have vested interest in hearing what's going to happen next. But essentially, there are 2 words that are the essence of our work this year, and probably every year, but especially this year as faculty. And they're really the essence of all of our work, even those of us who are not faculty. But right now I'm speaking specifically to faculty. Those 2 words both begin with the letter A, the A words. And they've been spoken, at least one of them has been spoken so far at least twice. Can anyone tell me what one of those 2 A words might be? Yes. I figured you'd know. And the other? What? I don't think I'm hearing it. It's accountability. Ah, yes. Those 2 words, and they really do go together because accreditation is a way of demonstrating accountability, and without accountability, there's not a whole lot of reason to be accredited. And accreditation is the underpinning of the purpose that we serve as faculty. And in many ways, it's a demonstration of that accountability. Interestingly enough, neither of these words shows up in our contract. I did check that. And yet without both, there wouldn't be a reason to have a contract. Accreditation is one of the 10+1 areas within which faculty have the right and the responsibility to offer recommendations to the decision-making members of our community on matters that pertain to students and their success. That's a 2-word phrase that also doesn't show up in our contract. Perhaps these are things that we could talk about when we're having the rehire contract conversation, Matthew, wherever you are. Yes, we include those essential things and what it is that we do here and are held accountable for. I'm pretty sure I don't need to elaborate on the many reasons why accreditation matters. Suffice it to say, no accreditation, no students, no jobs, or at least a lot fewer jobs for all of us. Which means, if you haven't already done so, get involved in ensuring that your college is able to get through its accreditation quarter safely and completely without any sanctions. There's still room for your help. I'm confident of that because I know that there's a lot more that can be done and has been done to both demonstrate how we are being accountable and to provide the evidence that supports that demonstration. Even if it's just reading one of the standards and providing some editing feedback on what you read, that's a lot. As someone who, with Matthew, was involved in the last accreditation process for Laney College, I know how much time and energy goes into just editing the document, not to speak of creating and preparing it. So I am sure that there's a place for each and every one of you faculty members in the room to make a contribution to that process. The need is urgent. That document for each of the colleges needs to be prepared and submitted to the board in the month of December. This is August. That leaves not a whole lot of time to get it done. And speaking of students, those people for whom we are here mostly, the only voice other than their own that students have really is probably faculty, with good reason. Without them, we wouldn't have a reason to be here or have the ability to be here. And without us, they wouldn't be here. So our speaking up for them is just as critical as their speaking up for themselves. And so far, we've had several opportunities to do that in support of those things which they are struggling with that have to do with their representation in shared governance. I will encourage those of you who are full-time, especially, to give some serious consideration to signing on as a, what do we call it for those independent study contracts? We call it mentor? What do we call that? Whatever that is that you do. Sign on as that. Because there are students who will be coming to you saying, I want to do this independent study contract, and it has something to do with shared governance. And I need a faculty person, a full-time faculty person, to say that they will supervise my work. Now, the downside of that, of course, is that we don't get paid any additional money for doing it. However, it is rare for a student to ask to do something that they're probably not going to get a lot of credit for, but that's going to add a lot to their lives and to all the lives of other students. So that we would support that is increasingly important, even though it may add to our workload. I'm not going to say much more than that. I will just close by saying that District Academic Senate meetings, which are a collective of the 4 college senates, are held on the first and third Tuesdays of just about every month, beginning in September. They are usually from 2 to 4 on that day, and any member of the college community or district community is welcome to attend, observe, and even comment on our deliberations. Speaking of welcome, I welcome your comments, questions, and concerns about anything that has to do with any of the 10+1 areas within which faculty have purview. This is my favorite pocket guide card, which I always have to wave at you on every professional development day because I bet you don't have one in your pocket. A faculty senate president has one in her pocket. Well, the rest of you, I'd be glad to get you one. So this is the card that tells administrators and staff, as well as faculty, what areas faculty have rights and responsibilities for. And the way I read it, it's practically everything in terms of recommendations. So you need to know what that is, and I'll be glad to make it easy for you. I'm done now. I'm going to introduce my colleague, Dr. Matthew Goldstein, with whom I was joined at the hip during that period of time when we were working on our last accreditation standard process, and for whom I have a great deal of respect, even though we are quite frequently on separate sides of some of the same issues. Dr. Matthew Goldstein, thank you.
Thanks, Carolyn, and thanks to Tamika Brown for organizing this week's event. Tamika is, of course, the staff development officer for the district and the PFT diversity chair. It's good to be up here and good to see James Blake and Molly Seeland from SEIU, and brothers and sisters from 1021 and Local 39.2. It's also nice to see all the orange t-shirts in the house. Is Cleavon Smith here by chance? Cleavon, the DAS VP. Is Janelle Hampton around? Here you go. Janelle. I know Cleavon and Janelle in particular know that something is afoot if I'm not wearing a sweater vest. So this is just a preview of coming attractions. I'm usually wearing at least 4 layers, the outermost layer of which is a sweater vest. So it is a sign of serious things to come. So I'm Matthew Goldstein. I'm president of the Peralta Federation of Teachers. That's AFT Local 1603. We're the faculty union that represents the teachers, counselors, nurses, and librarians at the 4 colleges in the district. On behalf of the PFT, I'd like to welcome everyone back to the 2014-15 school year. Samuel Johnson famously said that second marriages mark the triumph of hope over experience, and district flex day speeches often evince the same kind of optimism over the reality of lived facts. And while there's something to be said for remaining upbeat even in the face of significant challenges, I feel strongly we shouldn't let feel-good rhetoric get in the way of a clear-eyed assessment of the real problems that require our immediate attention. So before we accentuate the positive, and I promise you I won't break into the old Arlen and Mercer song this morning, let's be clear. Faculty are facing a set of far more daunting challenges than even the grimmest doomsayers would have imagined a year ago. For despite improved tax revenues in Sacramento and increased funding for community colleges, despite the $15 million a year pouring into district coffers from Measure B and Prop 30, despite having a faculty whose ranks have grown to over 1,000, despite all these really encouraging developments, a number of recent administrative decisions undermine confidence in Peralta's commitment to faculty and the students they educate. The scheduled 1% reduction in faculty salaries that went into effect in July is, of course, a major concern. The giveback was part of the 2013 deal that secured last year's 4% increase in overall compensation and led to the creation of the 25-step part-time salary schedule. And of course, faculty do remain 3% ahead of where they were last year at this time. Still, PFT knows that the district has the resources to cover that 1% and more. So while we're confident we'll get that 1% back on paychecks through this current term of a round of negotiations, we're frustrated, of course, that faculty have to spend energy and time puzzling out the already indecipherable paychecks they get. And we're also, of course, even more disappointed that folks in the faculty have to see recent hard-earned gains reversed, however temporarily. We'll talk about this at today's meeting at noon in the Laney cafeteria, and we'll talk about strategies for getting that 1% back on and more in upcoming chapter meetings on campus as we develop strategies for contract talks ahead. Unfortunately, the 1% is not the biggest blow that landed on faculty this summer. At least 3 members of the part-time faculty rehire pool were sent form letters that announced that they would not be employed fall semester. While each case is troubling on its own, it's necessary today to call out one case in particular, one that occurred here at Laney, because of the unsettling implications it has for both the status of part-time faculty generally and for such fundamental rights as free speech, academic freedom, and collective bargaining. Cynthia Mahaber has taught sociology at Laney College for 17 years. She got her PhD at UC Berkeley. She continues to publish widely in academic sociology, and she's a member of the task force on community college sociology faculty for the American Sociological Association. That's a national organization. She has a very distinguished resume, and her credentials are impeccable. Here at Laney, she's been evaluated positively. Her most recent evaluation was an exemplary, and because of her years of service, because of her very sound evaluations, she was made a member of the rehire pool in the Laney Sociology Department. She also helped negotiate the very existence of that rehire pool. Cynthia has been at Laney College longer than I've been here. She's been here longer than the president of Laney College has been here. She's been in the district longer than the chancellor has been in the district. And as more than 600 district part-time faculty can attest, she's also been the most outspoken advocate for part-time faculty rights in the district and beyond. And it's not a coincidence that she's the elected representative of the part-time faculty on the Peralta Federation of Teachers Executive Council. Last semester alone, she spoke out for part-timers who hadn't been paid for doing their assessment and SLO work. She spoke out for part-timers who needed access to AV equipment to serve their students. She spoke out for including part-timers in a faculty appreciation day on campus. All this while she attempted to get administrative support for a serious threat to her safety in her own classroom. Laney's ultimate response? A form letter saying she was no longer the best fit for the college. So PFT is filing a grievance on behalf of the 3 faculty members who were treated so poorly, and it's working closely with its attorneys to examine Cynthia's case for what appears to be retaliation against a union activist and a forceful advocate for part-timer rights generally. We'll talk about the implications of Cynthia's case and the implications of the other cases at today's meeting at noon in the cafeteria at Laney. But for now, I encourage all faculty, full and part-time alike, to sign the petition at the PFT table out in the foyer. The petition urges that Cynthia have her position reinstated immediately. And I should emphasize that no faculty member's job is safe here if Cynthia can be so easily stripped of her livelihood. So again, please sign the petition in the foyer. Please come to the meeting at noon in the cafeteria. And if you or someone you know on the Peralta faculty has been unfairly denied an assignment this fall, please get in touch with the PFT at 763-8820, 763-8820, or see one of us out in the foyer at one of the events today. I also encourage folks to attend the Know Your Contract session that will be held at Merritt College on Friday at noon in room R29 at noon at Merritt College. It will be led by the PFT grievance officer, Jennifer Shanosky. As you can see, knowing your contract has never been more important. So let me end on this note of cautious optimism after my dismissal of optimism earlier, and say that I do hope that we resolve these issues expediently and favorably to faculty and students. Thanks for your time, and I look forward to talking to you today.
Now we will have James Blake. He is the Classified Senate President.
So many may ask, why are you wearing this shirt? Well, if you had an opportunity to speak with me, you know that as a classified staff member and a leader of my classified colleagues, I care about every individual that works at Peralta. I view this institution as a family, and you all get an equal share of my time and attention. I visit administrators, I talk with faculty, I talk with classified, and I talk with students. And it's one thing that's very important for all of you to understand. With the challenges that we're facing, we must collectively work together as a family for the best interests of our students. That is the only way we will be successful. That is the only way we can go home and have a restful sleep, because we know we have done our job well. And speaking of that, I would like to just share with you something that was shared with the Peralta family by Trustee Abel. A student is the most important person on campus. Without the student, there would be no need for the institution. Not a cold enrollment statistic, but flesh and blood, human being with feelings and emotions like our own. Not someone to be tolerated so that we can do our thing. They are our thing. Not depend on us, rather we depend on them. Not an interruption of our work, but the purpose of it. We're not doing them a favor by serving them. We're doing us a favor by giving us the opportunity to do so. The author of these words were unknown, but they speak true to the mission that we all share here at Peralta. I've had the privilege to participate with the Peralta Classified Senate over some time. And for those members of the Classified Senate who are present, could you please stand? Classified family, I would like to acknowledge to you, this is my strength. This is my purpose. These individuals have informed me as to how to best represent them and how to best represent the Peralta family. They have done a stellar job and trying to fight for the concerns of classified. We have had several professional development days focused on the needs of our classified members, and we do this because we all have a commitment to serve our students with the best of our abilities. Embedded in our mission statement, as it reads, it shall be the mission of the Peralta Classified Senate to enhance the decision-making process by participating in the shared governance of the Peralta Community College District. Classified staff bring pragmatic, frontline point of view, which shortens the distance between making policy, implementing a working procedure to enact the policies. Through direct participation, our goal is to increase understanding and communication among all interrelated departments and work groups, improve the staff morale, and ultimately raise the quality of service, thus improving the Peralta College students' educational experience. And for those who stood, I would like to applaud you for your efforts. Oftentimes people ask me, James, why do you have this sense of urgency? It is because I believe in the pit of my heart that we deserve to deliver to our students the best that we possibly can. We have sat at this same place and heard from the RP group that helped us to see that there's a concerns that students have. They need to be directed, focused, nurtured, engaged, connected, and valued. But as classified, we feel this is true of all of us. And that in every aspect of the jobs that we do, whether we're administrators, faculty, staff, these 6 attributes are needed because we all need support, whether it's the chancellor or whether it's the gardener working out in the field. We should look to do our best to support the efforts of those who come to this facility, to this institution, to provide the best we can to our students. Our challenges today are real, but our commitment must be genuine. We must take every effort that we can to ensure that we offer our best to the service of our students at Peralta. As a Senate, we meet on the 3rd Thursday of the month at the district office, and our meeting time is from 3 to 4:30. All are invited to attend, and we look forward to the start of a new year. Thank you.
Now we will have some words from Molly, who is our representative for SEIU. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Molly. I'm the political coordinator for the Peralta chapter of SEIU. I'm also a co-delegate for the Alameda County. I'm embarking on my first adventure in the political arena, and it's a lot of handshaking. I'm here to share some updates. We had a very busy summer. We found time to work with human resources in increasing our Delta dental coverage, reducing a little bit our furlough, and we've made agreements with HR, Ed Services, and the Academic Senate in being able to celebrate Cesar Chavez on his actual birthday, March 31st, 2015. That might sound small, but it was big. So I really want to thank HR, and I want to thank the Academic Senate and Mike Orkin for working together to make that happen. We're hoping this political scene, as it unfolds, we want to thank Abel again for his service for the Peralta, as a Peralta trustee. He's been a friend to the unions. I think he supports what's fair, and I see him going on to the city of Oakland and doing great work. So I wish him well. Last night, our chapter was able to hold a candidates night, and we were able to meet with the candidates running for seat 7. That's Jelena Bonilla and Richard Fuentes. We were able to meet and really talk with them about what they see as a service to the Peralta Community College District. We were also able to meet with Bill Riley and Linda Handy, who are running for Area 3 and Area 5. It's important to have conversations at the table. Just a simple conversation can really help you understand where somebody's coming from. So with renewed optimism, we're going to be moving forward as a chapter, and we encourage all 1021 members to come on the second Tuesday of the month to the hall, meet with us, get some training, be a steward for your service area. We know that with change comes uncertainty, and knowing your rights and your responsibilities, as James has pointed out, is really important. Finding your voice in shared governance is also important. So we all have something to contribute. We're all here to serve, and I think it's a great way to start the semester on a positive note. So thank you for your time.
And now we have the pleasure of hearing from our Chancellor, Dr. Ortiz, who will give us the State of the District address.
Good morning, everyone. I didn't know I was going to compete with another laptop, so I'm going to close this and open mine. So while I fiddle with my computer, I'm just stalling while the applause dies down. There's the peanut gallery over there. Agustin, how are you? Charity. And I have somebody working my PowerPoint. Who is that? Oh, Jeff. Okay, Jeff, so this is the signal. I came in this morning and I forgot my speech on my computer, so they had to rush it over here and I had to figure out what I was doing. So my first words are, welcome back. And hopefully you had a great summer. I will tell you that I did not have a summer vacation like many of you did. Of course, you don't care what I did, but I'll tell you anyway. My wife had double knee replacement surgery in June. So for the last 2 months, I've been nursing. I wouldn't say I'm a CNA, but it was close. And of course, you've heard the expression, happy wife, happy life. Now, I've been married 40 years, so I know what that means. But I also know the dark side of that, right? So it's been a challenge, and my wife and I are on a day-to-day basis, and if I get a little grumpy and you run into me and I'm grumpy, you kind of know why. Except I do want to say that I have a great deal of compassion for my wife, because certainly having 2 knee replacements, and I see the pain that she's going through, and I know of other people who've gone through similar surgeries. I'm glad it's not me. Give me a second, I have to figure out where I am here. So we did have some things to celebrate this summer. Some of you, of course, were out celebrating some other parts of the planet, but here at Peralta, we were celebrating our 50th anniversary. That means in 1964, the 4 colleges in the Peralta service area consolidated to become a district. 1964, you remember those days, or some of you do. I don't know what you were smoking, but I know Bert Dragan hasn't exhaled yet. Where are you, Bert? I know you're here somewhere. Now, of course, you remember I told you I never inhaled, so that's not an issue anymore. But we did have some celebrations. We had, on July 1st was our 50th anniversary. We had a great community event at the district parking lot where Jeff jumped into the bounce house and made a fool of himself, as he typically does, so it was great fun. And then one day we had our formal celebration where Chancellor Bryce Harris, our state chancellor in Sacramento, came to greet us, to celebrate with us, and to remind us, as James just pointed out, why we are all here, and that's for our students. So you know that every time I get up here, my time is cut probably in half because Matt talks too much and James definitely talks too much. So I get to shore up right after them. But I want to give you a quick overview. This is very quick about the state of the state in terms of our budget this year. And I'm not going to give you a lot of detail, but once again, there are no cuts. I think, as Matt has pointed out, it's a rather robust budget from the state level. The the state revenues have been very positive. The Great Recession has turned around to some extent. And the governor, as he looks at these revenues, has made what I think conservative decisions about our future. He's actually trying to create a rainy day fund so that we don't slide into deep recessions in the future. He's also trying to shore up the debt that's been created in all of our retirement plans. CalSTRS and CalPERS, as you know, are deep in how should I say, future obligations, probably to the tune of billions of dollars, and the state has to address that. And the governor had addressed it in 3 ways. You know, the state will increase its contribution, but it's also asking we as employees to increase our contributions to our pension plans. It's also asking the districts, college districts, to increase employer contributions to pension plans. So while it seems that we may be flush with money, we also have to shore up some of the expenses that are increasing in our area. We, of course, are looking at increases in our health plans. You all know how the health industry is zapping all of us from here to kingdom come, and we will continue to pay that for the next several years. Then, of course, the district has obligations to step in lane increases and that sort of thing. So there was a point, I think it was 0.85, 0.87 COLA. That was washed away almost before it got out the door. So we do have a healthy budget. But I want to remind you, and I know I don't want to go into Matt's issues, but you know we do have a parcel tax and Proposition 30, but we hired almost 40 new faculty based on Prop 30 and the parcel tax. But when I came on board, I made sure that our finance department kept in mind that Prop 30 and the parcel tax will go away in 5 to 6 years. So we are trying to have an escrow of some of those dollars in order to keep our faculty beyond the parcel tax and beyond Prop 30. But the state is funding student success. As you know, student success and support programs is the latest initiative from the state, trying to look at our achievement gaps and completion gaps around the state. And I've incorporated some of those initiatives into my own agenda. So, well, before you do that, let's talk about FTES. We are, as you know, funded according to FTES. Our enrollments today are at par where we were last year. So we actually can grow some more this year, and the state is paying for that growth. They're calling it access, they're not calling it growth. But we are in a position at the Peralta Colleges to do better this year than we did last year. And of course, that revenue hopefully would trickle down to you. So I want to share with you my agenda for this year. Accreditation, student success. I'll talk about PASS. I'll talk about grants and adult education and the culture of accountability. Accreditation, I'm not going to say much more than has already been said by our colleague, Carolyn Van Putten. She's here somewhere back there. Thank you very much for that, because I too wanted to emphasize the importance of accreditation. I too wanted to commend you and all the work that faculty and staff are doing in terms of the self-evaluation for accreditation. We're having a visit, you're having a visit, all the colleges are having a visit by the Accreditation Commission visiting team in the spring of next year, 2015. And keep in mind what this evaluation is about. If you understand the standards for accreditation, it really is about continuous improvement. Continuous improvement about what we do. What happened? Oh. Thank you, Jeff. You're not sleeping at the wheel. Continuous improvement is about what we do, not only in terms of student learning outcomes, because you know, student learning outcomes, the fundamental premise behind student learning outcomes is to assess what you're doing in the classroom, assess what students are learning, and in the end, adjust or improve your teaching and learning that goes on in the classroom. But it also affects what we do in counseling, in the A&R offices, in our planning function, in financial aid. It's about improving what we do. And that's where these accreditation visiting teams come to assess whether we are sitting on our laurels or improving what we've done to move to the next level. And we have, in many ways, improved, and we can continue to improve. And I think Carolyn mentioned this year, I've brought on Linda Sanford, who is a former faculty member at Laney, to help the district and the colleges coordinate the self-evaluation reports, to coordinate the district component that you will incorporate in those reports. So I am also confident that by December of this year, all of these reports will be available for the Board of Trustees to review. And again, I want to thank you for the great work you are doing and will continue to do. I think you deserve a round of applause. So I mentioned continuous improvement. So this year, this fall, we're going to improve our planning processes. We're going to look at our PBIM, which is the planning, budgeting, integration model. That model is actually the umbrella term for all of our shared governance committees. Those committees are going to review and improve on what they do. Linda is going to be talking about that, I think, later this morning. And we're also going to embark on updating our strategic plans, updating our education master plan, facilities plans. All of that, believe it or not, is going to happen this semester, hopefully. But of course, if it doesn't, some of these plans will continue in the spring. And what we have to, once again, show the Accreditation Commission that we are embarking on improving what we do. So, next slide, please. Now, student success and support programs, this is a state mandate. And the state mandate not only requires that we provide orientation and assessment of our students, that each student has an education plan. The state is, in fact, asking for data on how students complete these functions and will therefore fund the colleges accordingly. The state budget this year has set aside $100 million in order to implement what we call here SSSP. And I know that we're working very hard to make that happen. We are also trying to improve on what is known as the Student Success Scorecard. And if you go on your website at the college, you'll see a link to your college Student Success Scorecard, and it's that Student Success Scorecard that is of the biggest concern for me and hopefully for you as well, because that scorecard indicates that we are not where we would like to be in terms of student completion, getting degrees and certificates, transferring, and persistence once they get here and moving through our system. And my biggest concern, as it should be yours, is those students most at risk. Those students most at risk for our populations are generally African-American males and Latino males, African-American students and Latino students, as are many of our students, but that has been my focus. And so this year, I created what I'm calling the PASS program. And the PASS program stands for Peralta Accountability for Student Success. And the Peralta Accountability for Student Success has set aside $3 million of the parcel tax we distributed among the colleges to address the achievement gap as best way you saw fit. Now, this past summer, each college submitted dozens of proposals to address the achievement gap. And I came together with the college presidents and the cabinet. We discussed each one of these proposals. In the end, the chancellor's wisdom was that there was overlap among the colleges on how to address the completion agenda for African Americans and Latinos. Having seen that, I decided we needed the best use of dollars for addressing that completion agenda would be a centralized program, Peralta Accountability, Student Success, focusing on African Americans and Latino students that we hope to implement this fall. We have, of those $3 million, I took $1 million to fund that program. We are still in the planning stages of that program, but the program includes a bridge component, orientation, intrusive counseling, early alerts, mandatory tutoring, and mentoring of all these students who we expect will achieve and complete their programs. Now, I'm not going to provide much detail today, but I will tell you that each one of your colleges now still has a pot of money from this parcel tax for the PASS to do some of the proposals that you've submitted. I know, for instance, Laney College has identified a career center, as has, I believe, College of Alameda. Some of you have suggested a veterans center in order to help veterans get through to complete their programs and be successful. So right now, Berkeley City College has over $400,000 to do PASS. College of Alameda also has over $400,000 to do PASS. Laney has over $864,000, and Merritt has $435,000. So there are still dollars in the college coffers to do what are your priorities. On the other hand, the district is, I feel, it is our responsibility and my commitment to address the achievement gap for African American and Latino males in particular. Even though this program is open to all students, we will focus on recruiting African American Latino males for this program. And for the next 3 years, I expect that achievement gap is going to close. Where we are today, we have students, our African American Latino students have right now merely a 40% completion rate. We need to move that above the 50%, closer to 60 and 70 as soon as possible, and I believe this program will do that. So the achievement gap, as we've known for many years, is really not merely the responsibility and a problem for community colleges. It really is a widespread problem, and it's typically, as you know, students that we get from the local K-12 system are unprepared for college-level work. Many of our adult students who have been out of school come back unprepared for college-level work. The governor has understood this as well and has set aside millions of dollars to address the achievement gap by creating partnerships and collaborative partnerships with K-12 systems, community colleges, and four-year institutions. And this past summer, the Peralta Colleges were granted a $15 million grant by the California Department of Education to work with 11 local school districts from Hayward all the way up to Richmond in what we're calling career pathways. It's called the Career Pathways Thrust. We're going to have career pathways in allied health, biotechnology, computers, it'll come to me. What is it? Oh, advanced manufacturing. And the last one, Karen, help me. What is it?
Public service and law.
Whatever that was. Okay. You know, I'm a child of the 60s. I can't hear a damn thing, so, all right? So, but the important thing here is that you thought shared governance was tough in making decisions. We actually got 11 school districts, 6 community colleges, and even CSU to come to an agreement on a $15 million grant. And I want to recognize Dr. Karen Engels, who's sitting back there. She put all of this together. And with Vice Chancellor Michael Orkin, will be working for the next 3 years, actually 5 years, on this grant to make, it's really about student success, closing the achievement gap, getting our students in K-12 to recognize that there's a career in higher education for them, and we will create pathways to community college. The 5 pathways that we just talked about are just the beginning. We're going to be adding on as we recognize the career pathways that our students will be successful in. Also along these lines, the governor, in his wisdom, felt that adult education needed to be part of the community college system. So recent legislation, AB 86, created a new structure for adult education, which brings together the K-12 system that's been doing adult education with the community college system and much of our work with basic skills. So the governor has asked us to come together and create a new structure, a new apparatus for implementing adult education, which leads again to careers and higher education. So I know that many of you present here in this room from our various colleges have already been participating in that planning effort. I want to commend you for accepting the challenge, because it is a challenge. And once again, any work that we could do with the K-12 system and working together is going to reap benefit for our students and our community. And I'm proud to say that we're all part of that, and I, again, commend you for that. The last thing I want to talk about, and James kind of talked a little bit about this earlier. You may recall I'm sure you recall, last semester, last spring, I had made an attempt to bring in change agents to create a culture of accountability, a group called Partners in Leadership. As you know, that kind of went south on me, but I was able to at least salvage some money because they let us out of the contract. And of course, I paid a little bit with my own pride, but I am undaunted by that. And I sent out a message to all of you, you may recall at the end of the semester, asking you, or letting you know, first of all, that I have not given up on the culture of accountability, because I think the culture of accountability is the hope for this district and the hope for our colleges and our students. And I asked you all to send me any ideas you had on how to approach culture change. I had all kinds of messages asking me, what does it mean, the culture change, and how dare you change the culture around here, and that sort of thing. But I do want to thank those people who sent me something concrete. And I want you to know that we will be continuing this dialogue. We'll probably get a small task force of faculty and classified staff, administrators, to look at some of the options. But today, in order to remind you of what my vision is, I've asked Dr. Deborah Pruitt, former Laney faculty member. Deborah is an anthropologist and an alchemist for culture change. And I've asked her to come to us today as a keynote speaker and remind us that it is possible. Where's Deborah? Over there. I think that it is possible to have culture change. And as she will tell you, but it means that we all have to be part of that. And those of you who don't want culture change can leave now. No. Lock the doors. Sadiq, lock the doors. Look at Sadiq. He's sweating it out over there. Huh? You all right? Okay. So anyway, everyone, Dr. Deborah Pruitt.
It's a real honor to be here, to be able to offer a contribution to you all. And I want to thank Dr. Ortiz and Tamika Brown, wherever she went, for making this possible for me to be here. Yep, we have slides. And thank you, Jim, for making this easy. So I want to really start by acknowledging everybody here. You know, I got the time slot where everybody's coffee is starting to run through, right? And I'm thinking maybe I have 5 or 10 minutes out of the schedule. Okay. I will try very much to stick to my time slot. And if everybody can sort of take a breath and relax, I hope to make this something meaningful and relevant to you. I'm not a fluff person. I go big picture, but I'm really practical and down to earth. And so we will come to a place where I'm sharing some very specific things that I think folks can do right away that will make a difference for you. You know, regardless of what people are saying about the struggles here and whatever frustrations that you're dealing with, I just realized you all are up there. Hi. You know, I know that each and every person here cares about students and cares about lifelong learning and cares about this community. I've been around here long enough to know that about every one of you. And every one of you I know are doing the best that you can in your job, in your place, in your situation, even in the face of really frustrating and difficult circumstances sometimes, very daunting circumstances at times. I've been through it. And so I want to thank you for the work that you do. This is, I think, one of the most important institutions in this community. And I share this commitment with you. That's why I was here for as long as I was. Sorry, love pulled me away. I moved out of the area. And many times I've regretted leaving here. So that's why it's especially meaningful for me to be back here now and say hello to a lot of folks. I share your commitments to education, and I also have had a lifetime commitment to making it easier for people like you who are making a big difference in the world, to make that easier, to make it easier to work together to accomplish those big goals and have that big impact that you care about. And I always call this achieving greater success. So because I use the word success a lot, I want to just briefly explain what I mean by that. For any organization or institution to be successful, I think it has to have three components. And hi, Sonia, thank you for your contribution by being here today, too. And that is first, achieving big outcomes in honor of the mission, in pursuit of the mission. Big results, big outcomes. But it also has to be able to create a fulfilling and life-enhancing experience for the people in the organization, because it's you all who achieve those outcomes. And that's what leads to sustainability. We can't have big results and outcomes and people be miserable because it's not sustainable. It is possible to destroy organizations and institutions. I've seen it happen. And you can't remain fulfilled if you're not achieving big things. So these three together are what I mean by success. And a lot of, and it's true that you can be disagreeing, even vigorously, and still be connected to the same purpose and goals and working for those outcomes. So collaboration is, I think, at the root of that. It's the word I've chosen to talk about that coming together, the way of working where people are really connected and working together and achieving big things. I also use the word alchemy in my work, in my business, and it's because I often hear people talk about there's sort of this magic when everything comes together and people are working and big things are happening. I don't think it's magic. I think it can be a science, and that's what I've spent the last couple of decades working on, figuring out and sharing with folks.